It's 10:10 on a Wednesday morning. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. All right, so meteorologist Chris Mulcahy now in the Live Impact studio. And I just want to turn the floor to you because I heard a little bit of what you said earlier this morning. I know I'm going to be preparing and running around town today because I want everything done and so I can hunker down this weekend.
Well, first off, I want to be serious with everyone here. And I'm usually a Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky and everything like that. But I almost feel like I'm outside my comfort zone, that it's still technically day 4 of the forecast. And I'm saying things like historic ice storm and things like that. And we were just talking casually. The last time I think I was this passionate talking about a day 4 of the forecast was the Monday before Helene. And I was in the meeting and I was just saying, because people aren't used to me being pretty much Mr. Gloom and Doom, worst case scenario, but I'm being straight up with you. This could be one of the most historic ice storms to hit Charlotte in modern history. And the way I put this in perspective, it was back in 2002. We had a half inch to an inch of ice. It was crippling. And Nick Sturtevant actually brought up, because he's from North Carolina, that he remembers that they were out of power for 2 weeks.
What?
There's a chance that we could have power outages last for days to weeks from Dallas, Texas to Dallas, North Carolina. So I just want everyone to be in perspective that as far as the setup goes, this is pretty much a once-in-a-decade setup. The last time that we had any sort of widespread freezing rain that was really impactful was 2016. The time before that, 2002. The time before that, 1994. If you notice a correlation, they're all kind of within that decade-ish time frame. Now we're talking about 2026. And straight up, what's new compared to the last time that I was over here talking to you or on WCNC Plus was ice potential up, snow potential trending down, and rain potential not really a factor. There are some outside models that are showing, oh, you could have a brief changeover to rain. We get above freezing on Sunday, but then, hey, that's just going to refreeze through the overnight. So I think what's going to really confuse a lot of people is that you're going to walk outside and you're going to say, oh, it's just rain. And then next thing you know, you're going to be on the ground. The last time I can remember having, I think it was 0.4 inches of ice. I was working in Ohio at that point. I thought I was being sneaky. I walked on the grass. Next thing you know, I'm on my derriere. I slipped on the grass. Just think about that. So if we put that 0.4 on the sidewalks, on the roads, it's going to be extremely impactful. Now, some of the salt and everything they're going to put down, that's going to be helpful in some spots. However, not everywhere. If we get a heavy enough ice accumulation, it can only do so much. That some cars could be completely covered where you almost have to chisel them free, and we don't really have a way to get above that. So that's kind of like my main warning here, that our impacts are heavy ice and snow, but ice is trending as the front runner by far, and it keeps trending up. And then extended travel issues and power outages. It takes a 1/4 inch of ice to knock off power. It takes a 1/2 inch of ice to knock it out for days. And I really think that that's a good possibility. That I was measuring some of our models about showing how far the ice impacts really go. Well, from the Carolina shoreline to northeastern Texas, it's about 1,300 to 1,400 miles that we have a swath of potential freezing rain or winter weather that the South doesn't handle very well. So this is a huge event that we're seeing from Texas up through the Carolinas, and I want everyone to be safe. But here's the time to prepare. So this is my advice to you. Being honest, and I get it, how many times have we said that there's a snow event and then it busts? We went 3 years without really anything. This is one that is not going to bust. The only way that it's going to be quote, quote, bust territory is we only receive a little bit of ice and we were okay. We didn't really lose power, but it's still not going to be a great Sunday. The worst case scenario is that cities shut down and we are dealing with impassable roads. But regardless, what I want everyone to do is, because we were super warm, then we've cooled down, your tires might be low and you might not even realize it. Because every 10 degrees the temperature drops, you lose 1 to 2 psi in the tires. Then, if you compact ice and snow around them, they're cooling down even more. So you got to also put that in. It was almost like putting your tire literally in the freezer. So I want everyone to maximize even 2 psi above what it actually suggests, because that will drop, especially as we're back down the teens. So that's advice number 1. Also, number 2, people are going to wait. You will see a busier grocery store today, but I guaranteed, and you can trust me here, that there is not a world that myself and Brad Panovich go this early on a weather alert unless we are really confident. The only thing we're not confident in is what's going to fall. So you're either talking about more snow moving back in, but regardless, there's going to be ice. This is still one of the worst storms we've had in a decade. It's going to shut things down. Luckily, it's on a Sunday, and likely, I think almost 99%, there's no school for the kids on Monday. Don't bank on that, but I would be highly, highly surprised. All right, so emergency supplies. You ideally want to get the food and the water, everything you need. We have those big 5-gallon blue things that are always great to have. That's always a really good idea. Have as much water as possible, because for me, I actually have a well water. So if the power goes out, I have no water. There's nothing that you can do there. So you need to be prepared for that. One thing about the winter events, unlike summer, if you lose power for your groceries, you can literally put it outside on the ice and you're going to be okay because temperatures are below freezing, but your milk might freeze. But you got to actually start thinking about these things, what you're preparing around the home. And number 1 is make sure, if you have one, and if you don't, go get one, your carbon monoxide detectors are working. So especially those that like to have fires indoors trying to stay warm, CO deaths, carbon monoxide deaths, are the highest during events like these, big time snow events and big time ice events. So everyone needs to know about that. And also, if you're using candles, you got to be extra safe. I would honestly use the lanterns with batteries, because you forget, candle is still aflame, and then a lot of these points, especially after this event, it's going to be so cold, the water flow is going to be slower than normal for some of these firefighters, and if we do get a big ice event, it's going to be tough for them to travel. So you got to be mindful about everything you do. Live in the moment. Don't let your mind wander. Make sure that you have everything possible, and prepare for the worst and hope for the best. That's what we're preparing for the worst and hope for the best, because this is the 1,400-mile swath that I'm talking about. This light blue is a 70 to 90% chance for a base 2 to 3 inches of snow, which is still really problematic. The most that we have seen really since, I think it was 2018, that we saw at least 2 inches of snow. This is still going to at least do that, or a 1/4 inch of ice for the minimum. I'm going to show you 2 of the models. This is the one that I don't like. This one shows pretty much a dry Saturday. We're weather alert starting Saturday, but more so during the evening. You have the freezing rain really start to take over, and there's a chance that you could have sleet too. So sleet's just essentially little ice pellets, so you can have pellets of ice that could have freezing rain that fills it in. But the problem with this scenario is, think about, you have a jar full of like marbles. There's the spaces in between, but then when you pour water in, that space is going to be filled. That essentially is what could happen here, that you're almost going to have layers of ice on top of that. So even if we get snow or sleet beforehand, that actually accumulates much faster than, say, just ice in general. That's going to allow even a thicker layer of crust of ice across the area. But this is 3 a.m. Watch. That's 1 p.m. That's showing over 12 hours of either sleet or ice accumulation across the area. This model does show some rain move in, but I don't like this. Even if somehow we get above freezing and it's just plain rain, well, it's back below freezing, and then we're talking about more of a refreeze. Meanwhile, Model 2 has more snow initially, but still, especially around the I-85 corridor, ice takes over. So plain and simple, what's happening here is that we will have ice. It's just about if the snow is going to try to make it come back a little bit more. There is one scenario that I do have that snow kind of wins out, but as of right now, unless you're in the mountains, ice looks to be the dominant factor, and regardless, should be done by Sunday evening, heading into Monday morning. So focusing in on the different models one more time, if you are a snow lover, so for this case and scenario, hold on one sec, track number 1, this is what you want. This is now to be the least likely one. The most likely one that we're going to see is an icy mix, especially around the I-85 corridor up to about I-40, maybe a little bit more snow north of I-40, but certainly up into Virginia, and then rain is remaining well to the south. The one we don't want is going to be this, and that's where you have icy mix across the entirety of the area. That's the longer range, and I already showed you what the Futurecast looks like, that multiple hours of freezing rain, because most of our events we've had in recent years when it's freezing rain, it's 30, 32 degrees. So that means whenever you have a freeze, it actually releases heat back in the atmosphere. So it could be 28 degrees, and by the end of the freezing rain event, it actually stops because temperatures are back above freezing, just because it's constantly releasing that heat. The problem with this is we could be in the 20s, and it might get us into the upper 20s, but you're still sub-freezing during the entirety of this, and then you're back below through the overnight. Regardless, get what you need to do now so you do not need to drive later on, because it might not be a possibility. So I want to show you model number 1. I took the numbers off because I don't want to scare anyone, just make you more aware. The American model. So these are long-range ones. By tomorrow, we're going to have a sneak peek of what some of the other ones are showing, which are a little bit more reliable, being honest with you. That deep purple represents the max here. That means that you're having heavy ice accumulation, likely over a half inch. And I'll bring up the graphics in. Half inches, roads are impassable. Widespread power outages, sometimes lasting for days, because that adds 500 pounds onto branches and power lines. And we've also been under a drought, because guess what? Drought weakens some of these trees. So if a tree's already drying, that's a lot more branches falling than you realize. So we have more branches coming down that. So that's the problem with drought, is it doesn't impact you right away, but it can catch up to you. So that's one factor here. Okay, well, let's go to the European model. I actually trust the European model more. Maybe you're going to be more optimistic for us. Nope, deep purple. The only one thing with this is it's showing a little less down towards the south. The European model has been really aggressive with ice, and I was like, okay, well, maybe you don't have a handle on it. Well, both of them are showing epic ice proportions, and I was trying to look back in North Carolina history the last time that we had something this epic as far as any ice totals. If this comes to fruition, that was back in 2002, and as I had mentioned, Nick Sturdivant said it was down for weeks. So that's going to be a possibility. Here's your snow comparison. The Euro, the one that I trust, shows barely any snow here. So that shows at least half a day, minimum half a day of ice accumulation. The setup that we have is the perfect storm as far as ice storms go for widespread ice. I don't think anything's going to avoid it. The only saving grace is somehow big changes and snow takes over, but that's looking less likely. This GFS still has mainly ice south of I-85. Yeah, you have it right on the ribbon of Charlotte. It's more so along I-40 and up in the mountains. But then if you do the consensus of that, it has everything lifting north. So we wanted it to lift north, but now it's almost too late. Now we want it to move back south, because I don't think we're going to get it far enough north that we get all rain and then we escape this. But I also want to bring something up in weather history that I thought was really interesting. Today was the coldest day in North and South Carolina history. So check this out. It was back in 1985, January 21st, that we had negative 19 for a temperature at Caesar's Head in South Carolina. And then on top of Mount Mitchell, the tallest point, negative 34. That is actual air temperature, not factoring in the wind chills, because we had a big Arctic blast. Meanwhile, for the Charlotte area, -5 is the number we have not been able to drop down below. But we did it. It was back in 1880, 1899 on Valentine's Day, but it was January 21st, 1985 of that, but Charlotte also had one of its coldest temperatures. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, which makes it really interesting, is we had essentially this setup, but one thing was missing. What made it so cold then is that literally you had a deep Arctic drop where you're seeing that rotating H move closer to the Carolinas. That would have happened if you didn't have Exhibit B. That is going to be this low pressure system. Oh, it's so fast getting out of here. With this moving up, it essentially starts pushing that high pressure system back. But we already have fronts that roll through, keeping us on the cooler side. Oftentimes when we have these events, usually we're in like the 50s or at least the 40s. We're going to be in the 30s on Saturday before this even arrives, so that doesn't really help us out. But it's essentially that colder air moving in with moisture coming out of the south that gives you the perfect setup that realistically, if there was no winter weather here, you're talking about several inches of rain. But since this is still the drier season, 1 to 2 inches of water will fall. It just depends, is that going to be more snow, more sleet, or freezing rain? Regardless, all those are forms of ice. So that's why I have been over the top saying you have no idea how crazy of a setup this is, that we could have a historic ice storm, one of the worst at least, that the South has ever seen. Maybe the North Carolina gets some saving grace, but that's many miles, millions of people impacted by this. This is a major national story. Welcome to winter. So over the next couple of days, what are we going to do? We're going to prepare. You're going to trust us that this is going to be an event. Worst comes to worst, It's less precipitation. Hey, that wasn't as bad as they said. That's fine. But I'm here. I don't want to be the person that says, oh, okay, there's no way that we're going to break history. I'm sorry. We keep on breaking history for multiple weather events. So when I'm seeing things that are historic values, now day 6, now day 5, now day 4, I'm sticking with it that we're going to prepare for the worst again and then hope for the best. So 60 degrees tomorrow, that's your time to kind of move things in. So say if like I have JT has this like toy bin outside that has a cover. It's open right now. I don't want all that ice and water getting in there. Just kind of go around your house and try to manage that. I already told you about what to do for your car. I would get the gas today because guess what? Once you get to Friday, there will be a time you're going to see it. The people still don't believe that this is a thing. They think I'm getting messages that are like, all right, calm down, weatherman. It's going to be just rain. Not this time. Not this time. Yes, you're going to look out your window and you're like, see, I told you it was just rain. That's freezing rain. This is going to happen. The only hope that we have is that it is a lesser event than talking about the decade scenario. Regardless, I want to have everyone to have everything done by Saturday morning. Saturday morning, I think you can still do things. The earliest precipitation I am seeing is for the morning. Maybe you see some flurries, but it's the Saturday evening. So after 4, I'm calling it. That's where things can go downhill. I have 7 to 7. I think it's really going to be the worst. But as you can see, I have a low of 21 on Sunday, a high of 29. That's keeping that ice around. A low of 26, barely getting to freezing with not that much sunshine. That doesn't have a chance to evaporate, so that means it's refreezing with a low of 13 on Tuesday. That's why I don't think there's any school on Monday and maybe even Tuesday, depending on how this goes. So again, it's an uncomfortable spot for me to be again up here saying, wow, this really could be that much of a doomsday, but a ½ inch of ice, we mention this all the time, is nothing to joke about. I would rather have 8 inches of snow than even a ½ inch of ice the way things are shaping up.
I mean, we have to be here this weekend. We're concerned about having to drive in. I'm concerned about having to drive in on Monday morning. Yeah, I'm just kind of left with how do I
I only have
tactically
one
get
car
to
garage.
work.
I have a 2-car garage, so it's either my car's in or Greg's car's in. It's like, who's
Check your
who's it
tires.
gonna be?
Because there's a
Gotta
chance
check
if you're
the
heading in the morning, like say if even the sun has risen up, that your car is completely covered in a ½ inch of ice. You literally need a chisel to get that
Right.
out. And for those that have garages, your garage could be frozen shut.
Right.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you have to really think of it because, for instance, we had far less covering our cars on Monday morning when we had that widespread frost, and I had to really pull on my door to get it open.
Same.
Imagine if you have an absolute coating, because we purposely are not showing you the values here because some of them are ridiculous, especially the snow ones. They're out to lunch. But the fact is that that deep purple represents mega levels, crippling ice values, that's starting to be an agreement is scary. Now, there's the mid-range models that can start to bring this up. Still, even a ½ inch of ice is not good, especially here. We had a little bit of snow. I think we had 3 events that it was less than a ½ inch last year, and there was one of them that was a ½ inch, and I just remember the amount of incidents that were happening. People were sliding all over the place, and that was just snow. So, just email Ordnance. You can say, all right, Chris, you're overreacting. You know me. I am one of the most straight shooters, honest with you. I'll tell you if I know. I'll tell you if I don't know. The consensus with this is bananas, and I'm just here as your friend, hoping that the worst case scenario doesn't come true.